Happy early 4th of July, Bearcats. Calling you Luke Scott here for Pod 54 of the Sam Houston Sports Talk podcast. Got a lot to get to. New assistant coach / recruiting coordinator for Sam Houston baseball. New BSN Xtra podcast with athletic director Bobby Williams comes out. And we're going to give some more thoughts on football as July is here, the last month without college football. And then we'll get to the Monday mailbag. Luke, in our first take, you asked me what your plans are for 4th of July, what my plans are for 4th of July. But now I'm gonna ask you first. What are your plans for 4th of July, my man?
Colin, I'm going to go see some family, going down back home, hang out for the week.
There you go.
We got the 3rd and the 4th off,
Yeah.
so we're just going to hang out and chillax a little bit, see everyone, so it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same things. Go see family. All right, well, that's done. We're gonna try to do this as quick as possible in a way because the internet has been pretty unstable to say the least. But we ride. We're gonna get this pod out to y'all any way we can. All right. So Luke, today made official the Sam Houston Bearcat baseball team. They have officially gotten their new recruiting coordinator, also assistant coach, David Wood. He comes in from Odessa College, where he served as the head coach this past season. He has a pretty good track record. You were going off on that before my internet. It's not Luke's internet; it was my internet, folks. So don't go blaming Luke. But hopefully it keeps hold. But Luke, this seems like resume wise, pretty good hire, and it was pretty well received as well in the college baseball and JUCO baseball community as a whole.
It was. Twitter was going wild with it. The online forums were pretty excited about it, and why wouldn't you be? David Wood coming from Odessa. Colin, he was only there for 1 year, but when it went 49-17, and Odessa is one of the better JUCO programs in the country, always has been, and for a long time at least. And before that, he was at San Jacinto College. Colin, that was all you right there. And then St. Thomas and St. Ed. So he's kind of bounced around a little bit, but obviously the baseball world is really high on this guy. I think it'll take a little bit of pressure off of Sirianni coming off of last year, and um, a lot of turmoil and a lot of turnover for at least the roster. I think this will kind of reset things and try to get back on the right foot, kind of where the Bearcats have kind of been used to be, um, or used being, I guess. Definitely in the upper echelon of the conference. So we'll see where it goes. I'm pretty high on it, Colin. You could expand a little bit more on David Wood and kind of what your thoughts are, but I'm kind of with the public on this one. I'm riding with it.
Looking at the press release right here, you mentioned how well he did at Odessa. According to the press release at GoBearcats.com, you can go read it. It's online. You can read a little bit more about David Wood, do your own research. So you mentioned his last season at Odessa, 49-17. That record included a 30-6 mark in the CAC, and he led the Wranglers to its first WJCAC title since 2017. And then you scroll down a little bit more, you learn a little bit more about him. When he was especially at St. Thomas, he turned things around there. He led the Celts to their first SCAC baseball tournament appearance in 2022, and in 2023, the Celts had their best record in school history at 20-18. So you look at that like, okay, that's just above 500. I mean, it's a pretty big deal that he helped out over at St. Thomas as the head coach over there, kind of turning things around for a little bit for that program. Here is a quote from head coach Jay Sirianni. Quote, "We are excited to add David Wood to our program as an assistant coach and recruiting coordinator. David has had success at every level of college baseball as both a player when he was at Texas State and Temple College and at Stony Brook, and he is a tireless worker and relentless competitor who will help our student athletes achieve their goals. David will make an immediate impact on the recruiting trail for us with his 15 years of recruiting experience in the state of Texas." And you kind of felt like, Luke, that maybe they were kind of losing a little bit of that connection on the recruiting trail a little bit in Texas. I think that personally, this seems like a good hire to reestablish that connection, and especially since David Wood, Luke has a tremendous amount of respect in the JUCO world of college baseball. I'm pretty stoked about this hire. I think this is a really good hire. I think Sirianni hit on this one. Of course, we won't know until the season comes around. Um, Especially since, like you've already mentioned, Luke, they're going to have to handle a lot of turnover on the roster, a lot of new guys coming in. And another thing here, Luke, is that he was a pitcher as well, and he helped out. I'm trying to find it here. Here we go. At St. Edwards, he was running the pitching staff. He helped the offense a little bit as well. But that pitching staff for St. Edwards included in 2014 a record-breaking 2.57 team ERA. And Luke, JUCO is a whole different world. I think St. Edwards is JUCO, right? Or are they NAIA or D2, D3? Do you remember?
Well, I believe right now they are D2. They were D3 for a long time. At least back whenever I lived in Georgetown, we went to a few games and they were D3 at the time. So in 2014, they might have been in AIA or turned recently to D3, but yeah, they were never more than D2.
Yeah, so they're D2 right now. So I don't know if they're D3 or D2. So not JUCO necessarily, but still non D1 baseball as a whole. Luke, when it comes to you know base college baseball outside of Division One, it's a different animal than all the other sports. If you really want to put it on a scale, because there's some dogs that come out of a JUCO you probably never heard of, and they're leading your team in homers or in batting average, kind of like what we saw a few years ago with guys like Joe Redfield and Justin Wiskowski a few years ago. So overall, I'm I think Sirianni really hit on this hire. I think he's going to be good for us. I don't know. Of course, don't know how long he's going to stay here, but I think he's going to be really good for us. I rate this hire pretty highly.
Yeah, I also kind of read it as maybe not necessarily a shift, but maybe just a recorrection of kind of where I think Sam Houston wants to recruit and kind of what they want to prioritize. And in baseball, it's all about experience, it feels like. And, going kind of back to that JUCO route. And, we've had some really good success, of course, going, to high schools and then recruiting from there. But you got to remember there's a lot of great talent, especially in the state of Texas, but all over really the South in JUCO baseball. And I think Sirianni sees this as potential. Hey, this guy knows people all around the country, all around the state of Texas, and he has an eye for that talent and can try to pick up on some of that. And we know the quality of team that Sam Houston has been for the past 10, 15 years, and so there is a pedigree that comes playing for Sam Houston in Huntsville. So I think it's a great hire. Uh, I think Sirianni hit the mark on this one, and hopefully we'll see the fruits, come to fruition or to fruition. How do you say that? In its first season, but I'm still gonna play patient with this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna play patient too on this one. Gonna end it off with what David Wood said in the press release. Quote: "My family and I are extremely excited to join such a great school and storied program. It will truly be an honor to work alongside Coach Sirianni and the rest of the staff. They have done some great things here, and I am looking forward to helping them build on that success. We are very grateful for this opportunity and are ready to make a run at some Conference USA titles." So, this seems like a guy that's ready. Seems like this is a guy that's ready to get to work, Luke. He's got interesting task ahead of himself, not just this season, but also after this season. Especially since Luke, after in 2027, Sam Houston is hosting the Conference USA tournament, and I'm sure they want to try to make some noise there, especially. And heck, the goal here, really, Luke, for this upcoming season is to finish above 500. Do well. First of all, make it back to the Conference USA tournament, but also try to make a decent run and have some good runs in the season. And especially since this is Sirianni's last year on his contract, I'm sure it's all hands on deck, really. And he wants to try to go out there. And honestly, Luke, I don't think, like I said before, last year is not going to happen again. That year is like this, just that weird year where it's just like out of the ordinary, an outlier per se. I people should not expect the same thing that happened last year. That happened this past season into next year.
No, they shouldn't. And yeah, and we've talked about this a bunch really over the past, I don't know, a couple months, I guess, with the baseball team. But you got to be patient with Sirianni. He's been great for us for so long now, and there was a contingent online, and definitely on at least on the forums and over Twitter, the fire Sirianni crowd and say, hey, we just need to calm down real quick. Let him cook a little here. He's been very good for us so far, so I wouldn't get onto him just yet. But I mean, if it's another tough year, I could really start seeing the some pressure coming from Bobby potentially, or even above Bobby from it. But no, I think it'll be a good. I think this is a good hire. This is a move in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to watching the team play here pretty soon. Once again, well, not pretty soon. It's a while.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a bit, but hey, the thing is there's fall ball, and that'll be our first look into this team. I'm gonna try my best to attend a couple of fall ball games. Of course, we don't know anything about that. We're gonna learn more about it as the summer goes on and as we head in towards the fall. All right, let's step aside, take a break. When we come back, the athletic director Bobby Williams got on the BSN Extra podcast. Got a few notes, a lot of what we already know, but y'all are gonna hear my take on it, and you're gonna hear Luke's as well. We'll be right back. Sammy Sports Talk podcast. Stay here. All right, welcome back, guys, to Sammy Sports Talk podcast. Just kind of a real quick, another kind of a transfer portal acquisition by softball. Ripley Welker transfers in from Texas A&M Corpus Christi. That was made official by Bearcat softball this morning as we're recording at not around 9:30 or so. So another veteran coming on to the roster for Bearcat softball. As Luke, they are preparing for a season next year that they feel like they can make some noise.
We saw him got hot a little bit down the stretch there, and I think that's the program that's pretty much surprised me. I think the most, at least from last year to this year, or from the previous year to this past year, um, with the improvements. Another good acquisition. We'll see. We'll see where it comes with it, but always good to see some news breaking for the softball team.
Of course. So Bobby Williams, athletic director for Sam Houston Athletics, sat down with Jason Barfield on the BSN Xtra podcast, and they talked about facilities. They talked about some other things. They didn't mention or talk about anything regarding the conference realignment. This was definitely recorded before all that happened with Texas State. We'll discuss that later in the pod for sure in the Monday mailbag soon. Some things we already knew, Luke. Baseball getting new turf. One thing that was interesting is the second thing he mentioned, or third or whatever, was the track and field facility. They have a couple spots in mind. They're just trying to get the financials, see where they can see what it's like, see what it's going to cost. And Luca, for a school that is paying for a new press box, that's new track and field facility is going to be the next big the next big investment, and they want to make sure. I'm sure that they want to put it in the right spot and get it right this time.
Yeah, definitely. And we know how hilly Huntsville is,
Yeah.
so it's going to take a lot of leveling work there from the site prep crew, whoever they use. That'll be a lot of money. But no, it's the right thing to do, and I think the university's growing, and Sam Houston track and field is always has always kind of played second fiddle when it comes to using facilities. Sometimes they're at the football stadium, sometimes they're, where the soccer is. They're just kind of all over the place. And I think they deserve their own kind of home, right? And see where it can get them. Sometimes they're down there training in the lots where the tailgates are. You'll see them all throughout the season. Sometimes running there. So no, it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a lot of investment, obviously, but these are the things that you have to do to grow as a program and to stay competitive in the world of college athletics, right? Those type of things that you have to invest in and build. That's what tries to set you apart, if not just keep you in competition right there in recruiting and keeping people there and revenue generation when it comes to maybe hosting some events because obviously we always host a couple events every year as a college, but if you want to get high schools and other places to come to Huntsville, and it's a good meeting ground, between Dallas and Houston and College Station and Louisiana, Austin, it's a great little spot to meet at. And if you can build a nice complex, like we think the football stadium can be in the press box, why not, right?
You mentioned the press box with like football. It was mentioned that they could be exploring the idea of selling the naming rights to Bauer Stadium. I'm personally on board with that idea. Uh, of course, it's gonna be really weird, you know, having a sponsor right in front of Bauer Stadium, of course. Um, but I feel like if you want to generate revenue, that's a good place to start. We saw Texas State do it with their stadium. We saw FIU do it. Uh, a big, most recent cool example was UCF. They literally changed their their stadium name their stadium government name to Acrisure Bounce House. And that's pretty cool, in my opinion. They need to, but I think selling the naming rights is going to be, it should be, is a good way. I don't know who sponsor it per se. I have a couple of ideas, but that'd be a nice way to generate some revenue, and also again, just try to see if you can try to sell those sweet spots. Try to sell a lot of them, uh, and again, try to build off of trying to. I mean, before I say this, there is a connection there. There is a connection between the school and the alumni, but if I, as I said it before, it's not as good as it used to be. Look, I sit there and I watch old football games back in the early 2010s. And look, the crowd's it's pretty packed, and albeit they were on Saturdays, but still, for a commuter school, having the games nicely packed a little bit on a Saturday for an FCS game it looked pretty good. I just wonder what happened, honestly, after that, and I hope that maybe we can get some of that at Bauer Stadium in 2026. I'm curious to see what the attendance is going to be like at Shell Energy this year with the home games. But at the end of the day, I just I they just have to they're going to have to find ways to generate more revenue. They're going to be hiring a firm, it sounds like, to help them out on that front. And that's going to cost more money, I would say. But I'm not the expert here per se. Um, but at least, Luke, that we know that they're trying. We At least we know that they're just not sitting around doing nothing.
That's true. That's a step in the right direction, right? Um, yeah, no, like you could look at other like look at University of Texas, right? I mean, it was. I think it's different now, but of course it's Daryl K. Roll Stadium, but it's also it was Earl Campbell or it was Joe Jamel Field, who was a huge Texas donor, big time lawyer. I think he was a lawyer, but now it's Earl Campbell or Ricky Williams Field or whatever it is. But you could definitely, throw some big names, have a field sponsor, have a stadium sponsor, have a press box sponsor. Like at some point, like you gotta try to go with it and try to find some ways to generate some money there. And if you have to sell out a little bit to some names or to some big companies, you have to just because you got to stay in it. Um, that's kind of the world we live in. You'd like for it to always be Bauer Stadium, but you can't honestly think that it's gonna be Bauer Stadium for the rest of the time. Like it just it's not gonna be. But at least it's called. But yeah, no, I think this does provide some opportunities there for the school to branch out and see who will take a not necessarily extend an olive branch, but see where the vine takes you in a way, right? See where the path can go, and who knows where it goes. I mean, there might be some big Sam Houston donor like yourself calling that say, you know what, I want to say Colin Field or Colin Neal Field. That's what it would be.
That does not have a good ring to it. That does. I'll admit personally that does not have a good ring to it, Luke. But I do appreciate
Or
the
maybe
thought.
like the alumni association, or something like that. Scoreboard sponsor, right? Or something, maybe something like that. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting conversation of who could sponsor it. Maybe it's the prisons, Colin. You think TDCJ would sponsor anything?
I don't know, man. It's a little too on the nose, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you making fun of my nose, my sunburn
No, no, no,
on
no,
my
no.
nose?
That was purely coincidental
Hmm.
of a joke. No pun intended. But going towards basketball though, because Bobby kind of talked a little bit about it. Luke, you've seen the pictures that men's basketball's been posting. They got a new floor, and that's because Luke. Now we know why there has been a delay on putting seating, bleachers, whatever you want to say, behind the benches. And it is because that floor back there couldn't support the seating that they want to put there. So they had to put a whole new floor for that. It just wouldn't support it. But I will say though, the court's looking pretty nice. I mean, the volleyball lines are still going to be on there. I really don't really care about the volleyball lines. Like it is what it is. But hey, at least we now know that we are going to finally have seating behind for the fans behind the benches.
Yeah, I mean, hey, one step at a time, right?
One step at a time.
It was always kind of weird whenever you're there and watching it on tape, right? And you're watching on the TV and you're seeing this big old wall back then. There's nothing between the
It does not.
players and the fans,
It
but
does not look good. It does not look good. We can be honest
no,
here.
no, it looked bad. It looked bad, but the new court does look nice. It's similar, but there's some subtle differences, which looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think it's an improvement, and you can start seeing, some of that fruit, and from the seeds that were planted, from years ago. You're starting to see some of that come alive now, and really be able to see some progress when it comes into facilities. And sometimes it takes a little while, but once you get it, you get it. And I'm happy with what the floor looks like. I'm sure the players and the coaches are ecstatic about it. Finally, that's a really funny that the floor couldn't withstand bleachers right there, which makes me question the engineering. Must have been an Aggie calling the engineer that, but
oh my gosh, dude.
it is what it is.
You're just gonna take any opportunity you have that to clown on Aggies. You're just gonna take the opportunity whenever you can, aren't you?
Pretty much,
Even
yeah,
if
pretty
we
much.
don't mention it.
I calling at work. At work, okay.
Okay, rant time.
I
Rant
got
time,
three
people.
people. We all sit in a line in different cubes, Colin.
Yeah.
One on the left and two on the right. All three with A&M. It's
No.
awful. I'm surrounded.
Oh man, it's hey, maybe they will be on your side though when football season comes because Sam Houston playing their rival, longtime rival Texas. I'm sure they're gonna be on your side for at least that week, though. I will say.
I don't know. I give it to them pretty bad sometimes. We'll see. I think they will be, but I also think they don't care. So
Oh man, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. All right, that kind of does it a little bit. Excuse me, on Bobby Williams' time on the BSN Extra podcast. Steel braces are up at Bowers. The framing is starting to be put together, so that's a good sign. He did say that it is on time, and oh yeah, that's right. He did mention this one thing, Luke. The first potentially, if everything goes smoothly, if everything goes right, they will be able to hold the 2026 spring football game at Bowers and have fans attend the game.
that's what we like to hear, Colin. That's good news. Of course, Colin, if you ever work in construction like you have and like I have, there will be delays. There will be something. But right now, that sounds good. The steel beams, yeah, I've seen pictures, Colin, that you've sent, that friend of the program, Colton Foster, has sent. Looks good. So, yeah.
Yeah, we said that it was a good sign. It looked like for the turf to be done this past season on time, and then guess what? They had to do fall training camp at Huntsville ISD. All right, let's take a break. Let's talk some football as we head into the month of July. But again, the last month without college football. There is football, NFL football, but not college football. Either way, how are we feeling right now about football? The more we kind of sit down and look at the roster, the more we look at film, the more we look at the schedule and seeing how everything is revolving around the program, how are we feeling so far? We'll tell you how we feel next. Welcome back to Sam Houston Sports Talk Podcast. Colin Neal, Luke Scott. If you haven't already, be sure you subscribe today. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. Give us a listen there if you're on the road somewhere, because we don't want you watching our ugly faces as you drive down the road. You're right. That's right, Luke. I called you ugly. How do you like that?
Not the first time, Colin, you've called me ugly, so it's okay.
Man. That's the sound of heartbreak right there, folks. But at least it's 4th of July. He can celebrate America's birthday. Hot dogs, burgers, red, white, and blue. We do want to remind you that please be safe and have fun responsibly. Yes, have fun responsibly. You're taking off the
Colin,
AirPods.
do I need to give you the history lesson that I gave last year?
We have time. Go right ahead.
You know how the Roman candle was invented, right?
No, Luke, I don't know how the Roman candles were invented.
Which, by the way, for those going to a July 4th party or doing something, you don't need to bring bottle rockets, firecrackers, black cats, the little spinny things. Bzz, all of those are pretty fun too. All you need is the Roman candle. Now, so the Roman candle was invented in Rome. Right? That's why they call it a Roman candle. So what happened a long time ago?
Yeah.
Long time ago, there was a Roman emperor, and his son made this type of device. And they had it around for a long time. I guess it just didn't really have a name. But what he did, he was shooting the Roman candles at the animals because he was being just that way, I guess. I don't know. He was messing around shooting at the candles. And if you know anything about the Roman candles, if you ever get in a Roman candle fight, which are fun, they're dangerous. So look out. They are fun.
Yes.
You can shoot them.
Yes.
At things, at people, and they'll bounce.
Okay.
And they'll kick off rocks, they'll kick off trees, they'll kick off humans.
This is really good stuff.
Cars, they'll do it all. What happened was this kid shot the Roman candle, boom, it hits the chicken or lamb, whatever it was, the cow maybe.
Yeah.
Bounced into the haystack and it burned Rome down. So you know how the great Rome, the fire of Rome. That's how it started. So there's a little history lesson. You don't need to bring bottle rockets, firecrackers, 100 the big grand finale. You don't need to bring any of that. Just get you a couple friends, bottle rockets, not bottle rockets. I'm sorry, Roman candles. Start firing them at each other. It'll be a good time.
I was kind of hoping an Ancient Aliens reference there a little bit. Are we sure it wasn't aliens? Because it could be aliens.
I think it was the Romans.
Yes. Yes. History lessons here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. Join us every other week. All right. So, football. Enough about Roman candles. Although I am looking forward to celebrating America's birthday. There's something else that is pretty American that's going to be happening pretty soon. Football, American football, folks. It is almost here. It's around the corner. I've been doing my studying a little bit. Luke, you've seen the document that I've been putting together for myself and for you as well to look at. I am right now starting on on numbers 8 right now. I'm taking my sweet ass time right now, and I want to try to get this done before 4th of July. I really don't think I am going to get this done before 4th of July, going through every single player on this roster. But I will say, the more I study it, the more I feel a little bit better about this roster. And as we get closer, the more I feel a bit better about this upcoming season. It's going to be a weird season. It's going to be tough. You're not at home at Bowers. You're playing some you're playing some interesting opponents like Hawaii at Hawaii. You're playing Oregon State in Corvallis. You're playing possibly the number 1 ranked team in the country by the time the AP polls come out in a month or so, whenever those come out. Or whenever you meet them, maybe they suck and lose the UTEP for some godforsaken reason the week before.
Well, they play Ohio State. They play Ohio State.
They play
week
Ohio.
1.
Yeah, but Ohio State on the road in week 1. But besides that,
Yep.
I feel a little bit better about this football season. I still don't know exactly how this defense is going to look. I still don't really know how this offense is going to look because, Luke, it seems like the pretty popular consensus is that Hunter Watson is going to be QB1 once again. And I'm not going to disrespect him a second time like I did last year. I am not doing that again. That is my QB1 right now, Luke. I'm sure that's your QB1. A lot of other people saying that is their QB1. And it's just going to be after this season on who out of Mabry Mettauer, DJ Bailey, and Landon Locke on who's going to be the next starting quarterback unless some other transfer quarterback comes along. But we don't have to think about that in the future right now. Right now, we have to focus on 2025. Luke, I will ask you the same question. How are you feeling about football the more research you do? Albeit, I know you've been pretty busy with your new job and all, but
Yeah.
just kind of what can you tell me how you feel right now?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of with you. The more I look into it, um, the more I kind of dive into the roster and kind of really check out not necessarily the recruits, but more than just the transfers coming in. You gotta like kind of more, I think, than what where we were. I think one thing that I've taken away from was definitely you know in the graduate transfers, a lot of experience coming in on the defensive side of the ball. I think there was a big um, emphasis, especially on the secondary. Of course, having to replace so much that left this past year via the transfer portal or graduation, but mainly the transfer portal. And you're going to have 4 or 5 guys on that back end with a ton of experience. Looking at Alonzo Edwards, Cecil Powell, Trey Harris, even Allen is back for another year. He played some big minutes for us in some big time games when Armstead went down this past year, and so there's a definite emphasis I think on the back end. But I think the more I look into it, I'm starting to warm up on the team a little bit. I'm not going to go as far as saying we're going to be a top contender for the champion or for the conference. Um, but I think if we can just be kind of middle of the road or, um, you know, number 4, in total defense or offense, I think I like our shot. I think we're building a solid roster. I don't know if we'll be able to compete at that next level where we'd like to be and kind of where we were last year, I think, in a way. But I'm definitely not. Our last video call, we were kind of saying the high and low of like the record, and I think I'm kind of coming up on the low. I think there's a higher floor than what I noticed, maybe a few weeks ago.
You know, I have this very weird theory. Stay with me now. Um, you know how it was the defense carrying this team last year and the year before? It's just the offense in
Yeah,
2023 was obviously not as good. What if it's kind of the opposite this season, where the offense is carrying the defense a little bit? Because if you look at this defense, Luke, it's a ragtag group of guys. There's talent
yeah, it
there.
is.
There's talents there. Obviously, I like me some Keelan Cox. I think he's going to be really good up front. I like Trey Harris. I like Jameer Diaz. And there's a couple of other guys I'm obviously not mentioning. I haven't gone down much of the roster yet. I'm still working on that. But just so far, it's that offense is not really a question in my opinion, especially the wideouts. And I think they really rebuilt that running back room quite well. I think that running back room is a little scary. You got Shane Porter, you got Elijah Green, Alton Mc I can't pronounce. I'm sorry, man. If you're listening in right now, I can't pronounce your name for like
McCaskill.
McCaskill. There you go. I was gonna say something completely different. That being said, you got Coco Brown still back there, who we retained from this past season, but still, those that running back room looks pretty damn good. It's just, and you're of course have Quavis Humphreys coming back on a wideout, Michael Phoenix the second. I like me some Lonnie Atkinson. Then you look at the slot guys, Caleb Black. I think he's going to be pretty sneaky for us. It's just going to be that old line that's going to be some. Of course, that old line is always going to be a question mark whenever you bring in a new administration. You had some turnover there, but you brought some guys back, and I think the tight end room will be just fine. It's just overall, Luke, it's kind of what we said before. It's going to be that defense. Like, what do we know? What are we going to see? And I don't think we're going to really find out for sure until you or I or both of us go and check out the team when fall camp comes around next month.
Yeah, I'm with you on the receivers for sure. And you didn't even mention Michael Phoenix, or maybe you did. I
I did.
missed him. He's kind of like the guy that I think, and we kind of talked about this in a couple episodes ago, I think. But he's kind of that one player, that lightning rod. They say, okay, if he can really kick it up a notch, and we saw flashes, but we never really saw multi-game, games in a row where you're like, okay, Michael Phoenix is an absolute weapon out there. We just never got to see that, mainly because I think the rise more of Seaman Evans down the stretch, really. But yeah, no, that running back room, like you said, a lot of emphasis on that. Of course, having to replace a lot that left was that 3 or 4 backs that left Sam Houston last year. You got to replace them all, and it looks like we did. And like you said, it kind of like a ragtag crew on the defensive side. It's kind of how it is on the offensive side. I mean, you got guys that some guys from the area, some guys from that have kind of been all over, and they're on their second or third school now in college. It really is just kind of the Wild West out there in the transfer portal, as we all know. But there's no other room.
This
And you
team,
see that more, I think, in this team than the running
this
backs.
team is going to run on the power of friendship, Luke. It's going to run on the power of friendship, and I'm not going to argue that one bit.
And one thing that I've kind of noticed is that it's kind of all over the board when it comes to the size of these backs. I mean, McCaskill, like you said, he's the one of the bigger guys at 205, 6'2". Then you have Marion Gaines Smith. He's listed at 220, and that's a big dude. But then you also got guys below 200s, even in the 170 pounds that I don't think we'll see, but you could see a Trey Taylor pop up here, maybe on special teams. Maybe I know he's a guy that was highly recruited that this administration really liked coming out of College Station at A&M Consolidated. But it's definitely kind of all over the place when you look at this group, and I think it kind of shows you maybe a little bit of St. Houston's going to be pretty multi-dimensional. I think in our running game, I don't think it's going to be a lot of the same thing over and over. I think it'll vary. I think we could run more of those power schemes like duo and pin and pull, and sometimes you're seeing us go wide and maybe try to get us in space. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what that running back crew does. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting bunch.
So before we head into Monday Mailbag, I kind of these came out today. I wasn't planning on this and in all, but EA College Football 26 ratings for Bearcats. Let's go through them, shall we, Luke? I know that's he's ready to get through this one. Let's start with the top though. Highest rated Bearcat number at 83. Shane Porter, the transfer from North Texas. He 90 speed, 87 agility, 93 acceleration, 84 toughness. I wasn't expecting that. I guess I need to look at Shane Porter highlights a little bit more, and once I get down to his number.
Oh no, Colin.
Oh, what happened?
Red Panda fell off her unicycle.
Oh my God, Luke, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Who cares? I mean, I kind of care, but who cares?
Sorry. Squirrel.
Squirrel. Yep. Right back to me, Luke. Right back into the pod. Golly.
Okay,
But
we'll go
Shane,
back to what we were talking about.
but Shane Porter, 83. I mean, I don't know much about this guy, and that's probably because I haven't really actually sat down and watched this film, and that's all on me. But this seems like a guy that maybe kind of just be a sneaky guy there, Luke. I'm very intrigued. I mean, of course, EA College Football ratings are not the end all be all when it comes to evaluating players. So let's see here.
It is fun to look at, though, isn't it? Like, I mean, Hunter Watson rated at 77 overall. Toughness at 93. Now they got that right.
We'll get
there. They got that
part
right.
Well, hold on. We'll get there. We're gonna go down the list real quick. 81, rated 81. Right guard, James Dawn II. You know how much I liked him last year. I thought he did pretty good. I'm glad he's getting the respect he deserves. Rated 80. Alton McCaskill. Arizona. He was at Arizona State and was at Houston, and then rated 80 as well. Running back Elijah Green, transfer from Indiana. You like that? You like him quite a lot, Luke. I know that. 79 rated. I thought this, if he had a lot more targets and snaps played and like had more opportunities last year, I think he would have been more highly rated. But 79 wide receiver Quavez Humphreys. But now we're at Hunter Watson, 77 rated. I want to stop right here for a minute, Luke. I think that's a little bit of a disrespect having him at 77 overall. Now, passing wise, I understand, but running wise, I feel like that it should be a bit higher than that.
Well, Colin, what does the quarterback need to do, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, we got to remember there were some games last year where we were struggling to hit 100 yards passing. So
yeah, but are we? Is
let
it?
alone
Is it
score the ball? Let alone score a touchdown.
Is it more Watson's fault or Watson's doing, or is it more scheme? Like, was it more scheme?
He was also pretty banged up last year. I mean, you can't forget that. I mean, the guy was battling some pretty serious injuries that.
He apparently had another surgery
down the stretch.
He apparently had surgery on something in the offseason, apparently.
Yeah, I'll give them they got his toughness rating at 93, which I think that's about right.
It's
I mean,
got
the
to be a
dude,
no, no,
him
no,
and
no,
Eric
no. It's
Schmidt
got to
are
be
two of the
100.
toughest.
It's got to be 100, Luke. It's got to be 100.
No, no, it can't be 100. You can't be 100 at anything.
I don't care. There's exceptions to the rules.
I thought the rating was fine. I think 77 was um it was okay. I think it's fine. I won't say anything.
Also 77 rated left guard Rhett Larson. He was pretty stable guy back there. I didn't really have any complaints in that guard position last year. On the other side, opposite of James Dunn, Caleb Black rated 76 rather overall, transfer from Arizona State. And Thomas Jewett, tight end, 76 rated. He's a guy that's been has been getting a lot of buzz a little bit over the past few years. Of course, you're sitting behind Elijah Sohn. And you also have and he seems like a guy that may be taking a step up this year, especially since I think that tight end room is open competition this year. And then you got at kicker 76 rated Christian Pavon, and I'm only smiling and laughing. No disrespect. It's just because Luke has that look on his face that he wants to say something. So go ahead, Luke.
It's fantastic accomplishment for Christian Pavon. That's all I got to say. He did hit a few big time
He did.
extra points.
He did.
Down the stretch, we had some extra points that went in, and
Some field goals that gone in.
some field goals went pretty close, if not in. So they went pretty close, but Colin, I got to give credit where credit's due. Colin Foster texted one of the best things ever.
Oh my gosh. Do we really want to say it?
I don't say no. I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I won't say it. Because it could cost. I don't want to cost me, but it was good. It was good.
Oh man, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and move on from that. But that is your EA college football ratings for the highest rated Bearcats on there. Note, Luke. No,
88 kick accuracy, Colin. 88 kick accuracy.
Yeah, that's kind of a stretch. Let's just be honest, that's a stretch. But hey, whatever. I'm not gonna knock Christian Pavon. I'm not gonna knock him. Good for him. I will say though, I think there is competition at the kicker position this year. That is going to be something I'm definitely keeping an eye on, especially with some of the transfers that have come in, and also that this kicker from the Woodlands.
How many game winners did he have this past season?
Say that one more time.
How many game winners did he have this past season? You got to give him that.
Texas
State.
Is
it 3 or 4?
Texas State. God, why am I blanking on this? There's another one. He had a big kick against Georgia Southern. Yeah, that big kick.
Was the field goal at the end? Was the field goal at the end? In the bowl game, did that count as a game winner?
No, because they were already winning.
Technically,
they were already winning. It just made it a 2-possession game.
I know.
We're kind of blanking right here.
Yeah, we are.
We're kind of blanking. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. It was last year. It is what it is. But Luke, it is getting late for us. But we still got one more segment to go. It is time for the Monday Mailbag. We hear from y'all, the Bearcat, all of the St. Lucie SportsTalk fans out there. Next, a little bit of a voice crack there. Got to work on that. Stay there. It is time for the Monday Mailbag. Let's get it rolling because Luke's got a bedtime because he's got an adult job. I sort of do, but I don't actually. He has to go to office. Do you work in a cubicle? Do you work in a cubicle?
I do.
Okay.
They're actually kind of big. I mean, it is technically a cubicle, yeah, but it's cool.
Let's first start off with your good old friend Cats on Top. He asked Luke, "Do we have a problem?"
I like the tweet. No, we don't have a problem. Cats on Top. I just think there's some better burner accounts. I think
If y'all just if y'all don't know, we did last pod, we did a Mount Rushmore, our pit, no, not Mount a Mount Rushmore draft of our four Sam Houston burners, and let's just say, Luke, I definitely won.
Oh no, no, you did not. No, you did not.
What do you mean? Oh my god. But Cats on Top's first question is, and we just switching up the mood a little bit. I don't mean to do this, but Cats on Top asked us what we think about the Title IX situation with the football team. He stated facts, which are true. This is what and for those that don't know, I'm talking about Mark Kendrick Beal. He was issued a Title IX probation, which it would bar him from participating in football games, and this stemmed from a very bad case, which the article's out there.
Allegedly.
The article's out there. Y'all can go read it for yourselves on what happened, or what happened, what did not happen. You know, I don't want to discuss any further because I'm afraid of saying something defaming or legally wrong that would get in trouble. But I there were some things in the article, Luke, that I found quite interesting, because you look at the title and it says like, this school's football season, historic football season, might be up in jeopardy. And I read that article, I was like, oh, this is not good. And you see a Sam Houston football helmet, bam, cover photo right there. But here's some things I gathered from this article. I'll start with this one. You can see what happened from the article. Beal's probation, however, could not start that fall until after he completed an appeals process he chose by the October 2nd deadline. That appeal hearing was not scheduled until October 28th, 3 more games into the season at the time. After the hearing, Beal played his last game with the Bearcats against La Tech on October 29th, and the Title IX office reissued a final 1-year probation starting, and I quote, starting November 4th with an end date of November 3rd, 2025. Then you go down a little further, it says, but according to the due process hearing decision issued by the university to Beal, the school imposed a 1-year disciplinary probation that included, quote, fall 2024, spring 2025, summer 2025. This allowed Beal to be on the roster for 2025, potentially ending his suspension 3 months earlier than school policy. It also meant that if his probation was retroactively issued for fall 2024, then according to SHSU's academic calendar, that would include August 26, 2024, the first day of classes, through final exams on December 12th, 2024. Excuse me. Since Beal dressed out for 9 games representing the university, would violate the SHSU Student Code of Conduct, which states, quote, students on disciplinary probation may not represent the university in any official capacity. According to Section 12, page 66 of the NCAA rulebook, if an ineligible player participates, then the board of directors, quote, require that team records and records and performances achieved during participation by such ineligible student athlete shall be vacated or stricken. Now, this process started way before November, obviously. But at the end of and you could argue that the Title IX office was just being inefficient, not doing their job in a timely manner. But Luke, that probation was not enacted until after the La Tech game on October 29th, which was Mark Kendrick Beal's last game of the season. He did not participate. He did not dress up afterwards. Did not go onto the field during the rest of the regular season at that time. So it just seems like that technically there was no violation if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it. And I, at the end of the day, don't expect any repercussions to come with the program. It's just that what the issue
No, I
popped
don't
up,
really.
the issue popped up when his name though came up on the 2025 football roster that one day, and then immediately got removed because he's on academic probation. His name should not be on the roster. I don't know anything about practices. I don't think he should be practicing. I think he's completely off the team in
Yeah,
general.
I mean,
So
it, it's a lot of it's a lot of not necessarily paperwork, but it's I don't know. There's a lot of holes you got to kind of jump through to get there. And like you said, not participating in anything after since that La Tech game, which then the Title IX. But was that whenever it was filed, or was that whenever they were notified? Um,
what do you mean? Like
Colin.
the probation when it was issued?
Hmm.
So the probation was issued on, it was reissued, I should say, a final 1 year probation starting November 4th with an end date of November 3rd, 2025. It was just that Beal had to have a appeals process. He had to complete an appeals process, which he had October 2nd to choose a day for that. And that appeal hearing was not scheduled here saying until October 28th, which was the day before the game against La Tech.
It is sad to hear too that things like this
it,
happen.
it's a terrible situation.
Um,
It is a very terrible situation, and it's, you just wish that didn't happen. You wish that couldn't happen, but unfortunately, life is life. There are things that like this that are going to happen. Unfortunately, we cannot stop it.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
I don't. It's just stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid at the end of the day. What allegedly transpired. So
yeah, and you have to remember it is still all allegedly. I mean, it's right now. I think it's pretty much just hearsay. Um, Kind of what's gone on. I think there's stuff to comment about it because I think there still is like technically an investigation
yes,
maybe
I think there
going.
is. Yeah.
Um, and so it's kind of tough just to talk about it just because like we don't really know much about it at all other than a Cron article going out and them saying, "Oh, like the season could be in jeopardy," and I don't think it will be, like you said either, Colin, because of like him not playing and not even being really on the roster. So I don't think there'll be that many repercussions to it. I think it's something that will probably just be kind of not necessarily disappear, but it's just gonna kind of be there. I think for a while, and then it'll go away. But hopefully, um, it's not true. But you never know. So yeah, not the best headline to come out here in the past week or so.
Yeah, the formal complaint was submitted on February 29th of 2024. Um,
There were different articles that came out or maybe post about it, and they had a different player. I forget of which player they posted, but it wasn't of Beal. It was of another. It was someone else, and they were like,
yeah.
"Hey, you need to take this down. You're talking about someone else. That's me. You're on the photo," which I thought was typical Cron there. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I know the Conference USA Central kind of did their own twist on it. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I did not see that.
Oh man, it's good at least because they kind of did the same thing with the player. But anyway, I'm done talking about that. Let's let's switch gears a little bit. Mr. Run the Damn Ball asked us why he wasn't drafted.
Got to step up your game, Mister Run the Damn Ball. You got to step up your game, maybe. I
Luke,
don't know.
you are starting beef with some burners right now, man. I wouldn't dare start
I'm
beef.
not. I'm not. I'm not starting beef. Thing about it is, Colin, we kind of called upon burners to be created, and at first it was only like a couple, and we had like a little squad of burners that were going out, but now it's just blown up. There's so many out there. I can't keep control of it, which I love, and so we can't turn on each other though. We have to stay one as one. Same Houston brethren. Hashtag two things, of course, but you know, um, sometimes you don't get drafted in a two-person Mount Rushmore. There can only be 8 drafted, and you were out.
Luke, I am staring at something very deadly right now.
Are you looking down, Colin?
It's I think that's a good old. I think it's a wolf spider.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a pretty big one.
I don't think wolf spiders are deadly, dude.
I don't know if it's a wolf spider or not.
Well,
It's a pretty big one though.
let's walk through your options. Let's see. You can either kill it. You don't want to do that.
Yeah,
You
because
can
it
either
could be
catch it and keep it as a pet.
it could be keep it as a pet. It could be a female for all we know, and it could sprout lots of baby spiders. It could be carrying baby spiders. I'm just gonna keep my eye on it. I'm just gonna we're just gonna take this as we go. Our next one is let's see. Um let's go with this one. I like this one. Put it in Sammy. He submitted 2, but it was already about the Title IX stuff and whatsoever. He asked a very interesting question, Luke. This is a damn good question. Do you see Longo being a 3 to 5 year coach or a 7 to 10 year coach?
Ooh, yeah, that's a really good question. I think right now I see him as a more of a long-term coach. I think he's kind of bounced around the past few years in different positions all over the country, um, different conferences. And I think this is a good first spot. I think as a head coach, of course, he coached he had a head coaching job a long time ago.
LaSalle.
It was LaSalle, right? Yeah. But I think this is a spot where not only has he been here before, but he's really talked about this area and how his family loved it. And I think that he sees the time and investment that this program, that the athletic department, the school is trying to put into athletics and football. So I think I see him more of as a long term guy. But that being said, if he's here for 3 years and he delivers, 2 bowl wins and maybe a conference championship, he's going to go because some people, I mean, the money's going to be knocking at the door and you can't blame him for it. So I think he's definitely come to the situation thinking long term, but you never know with kind of how the coaching carousel, as you would say, can be. So, but my answer would definitely be on the longer term side.
I think he will be longer term side. I'm going. He said that he wants to try. He wants to be here for on a long term basis. It was. I forgot what article he talked about. Like he wanted to make sure people knew that this wasn't a one stop. This wasn't a one stop deal or whatever. I mean, he had his opportunities at Ole Miss. He had his opportunities at North Carolina. He has opportunities in Wisconsin. I still I feel like Wisconsin. It felt like that it was kind of set up to fail from the start. Again, we've already talked about it. Establishing an air raid offense, that kind of spread offense or whatever you have it in the Big Ten. That's a really tough task to have. And you see a lot of Wisconsinites that said that maybe Longo was kind of a bit of a scapegoat. There was an article that came out that kind of implemented that Longo wasn't really the problem at Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm not too happy with Luke Fickle up there. So,
I mean, we'll kind of see how Wisconsin
not to
does.
interrupt.
I mean, no, you're good. I mean, I'm kind of curious to
Yeah.
see how Wisconsin does. Maybe I don't know whether they went back to some sort of what they used to do back in the day when they had Russell Wilson and Melvin Gordon up there. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of curious though. But right now, he's our head coach. He's our play caller, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Hunter Watson's biggest fans asked, "Do you think Southwest Texas is worthy of the pack, or is the pack a group of 6 team now?" I don't. I asked a question earlier, Luke, on Sam Houston Sports Talk on X. Follow us right there. Also on Instagram and Facebook. Overwhelming majority of people that have voted on that poll don't think that the Pac-12 is a power conference, and I fall into that majority, Luke. It's not a I is it better than the Sun Belt and Conference USA? Maybe, but you can't just put these teams together. Majority from the Mountain West, 2 of them still from the original Pac-12, kind of original, in Oregon State and Washington State. But I'm trying to think, Luke. It's kind of like it's kind of like saying that you got this new car, this Bugatti, okay, and then in the parts that in the best parts of that Bugatti were taken apart. All right, and then now you bring over this Beetle, and you have this Beetle now. Well, that's the Mountain West Conference. You take those parts in there, and then you put it into the Bugatti. Is the Bugatti still called a Bugatti? Yes, but the parts are from a Beetle. So it's not exactly what it was before. Stay with me now.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point. Now, I would counter with this, and I actually voted on the poll, Colin, and I went the opposite.
Oh, Luke from the top
I
rope.
did. I did because of my main thing is while you're right, it's not Stanford and Cal and USC and UCLA
UCLA,
that make up that conference
Arizona,
anymore,
Arizona
right?
State.
But there is still a lot of money in the Pac-12. There is still a lot of investment and TV deals. And I also say that I think it is a step up from all of the group of 5 teams, right? I mean, conferences. I think it's definitely a step up from the Sun Belt and Conference USA. American, I think it's a step up, and obviously the Mountain West has lost so much now. It's definitely, but it's tough for me to say it's a group. Is it a Power Five team or conference? Because when I look at it, it's like, okay, yeah, I think the ACC is going to be way better than the Pac-12. The Big 12 is really deep and balanced. And obviously, the Big Ten and the SEC are the 2 juggernauts. And so it's tough. It's like they're a tweener because I wouldn't consider them a true group of 6 team, I guess, or group of 5, whatever. But are they a Power 5 team? I don't know. So I went with the minority there, but I could easily be swayed um, to your side.
Okay, that's fair. Next, actually, before we get the next one, Chris G says, I think all these people making a big deal about Texas State moving to the Pac-12 is funny. This is not the same Pac-12 by any means that has been around for 100 years.
Sure.
It's now another Mountain West Group of 6 league. Texas State, he's referring to, are 52 and 94 after 12 years in the Sun Belt. So I think that's a pretty good note to leave on. He's stating facts. I'm not going to argue with him on that. He's stating facts, in my opinion.
No. Yeah, no,
Uh,
you can't argue with the numbers, and you can't argue that it's not the same conference as the Conference of Champions as
yes.
uh poor what's this guy's name? Rest in peace.
Walton, Bill Walton.
Bill Walton. Yeah.
Yeah, R.I.P. Man. I'm gonna miss a lot of people didn't really like him, but I actually kind of enjoyed him on those in the commentary aspect of things. He was a character, really good basketball player, really good basketball player. Back in his
He
day.
is a Hall of Famer, so
He,
yes.
not a lot of people know that, Luke. Just saying. Sam Squatch. He
Okay.
asked 2 questions. He asked about the future of the track and field team, given what we don't seem to have any idea where we're going to build a complex for future. We are kind of discussed this. I don't really know much about it. I don't know what the locations are that the I don't know what the locations that are being discussed, so I don't know anything about that. But he asked a very interesting question, Luke. Do y'all believe that there's been a decline in the quality of sports journalism? Personally, I think there's still good sports journalism out there. It's just unfortunately, it's one, not appreciated enough. Two, it's not what's making the money these days.
Yeah, yeah, I think it has gone down a little bit. Um, well, it's more than a little bit. I think the more like debate shows, I think I've kind of killed the more traditional outlook on sports journalism. You know, there's not as many like the talk shows that you see online. And this is more casual, right? This is more just for us to kind of stay involved with the fan base and the teams and try to get some good access for everyone. And it's also a little selfish on our part. This is just to be around the atmosphere, but also to provide a service. And I think that's kind of what's gone downhill. I think a lot of people are into it. It's all me, me, me. Um, and it's all about the money. It's all about the fame. I think it's kind of gotten away from covering teams and leagues and players traditionally and also more accurately. So I do think it's kind of gone downhill. Um, I think the rise of like clips have also kind of dealt with that too. So that's kind of I think the whole like clickbaiting thing has kind of started with that.
Yeah. And it's also that kind of coincides with the 30-second span. Like, you gotta get the juicy stuff out first, even if it's out of context. Gotta get the get the juicy stuff out there really quickly, as fast as you can before someone says anything. And also, just the fact of being first, the culture of being first, kind of ruins it a little bit. Or better yet, just saying stuff that you don't actually believe in, but saying it anyway because it's going to
Yeah.
generate clicks. That kind of ruins it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope we're doing a good enough
And
job. Honestly, I hope we are doing a good enough job to provide the people, Luke, with the good coverage of Sam Houston athletics. And I will say, folks, our good. I mean, he is a good friend of ours, but Colton Foster, folks, he does a good job on his front too. He's not just covering Sam Houston athletics, folks. He's also covering 3 high school athletic programs out there: a 5A school, a 3A school, and a TAP school. So in Huntsville, and you got New Waverly
Alpha
as well.
Omega.
Yeah, AOA, and he, I don't know. I think there's still good journalism out there. I just don't think it's appreciated enough, in my opinion. I think people need to pour more money and time and effort into investing in good journalism. The thing is, though, that's not going to happen because the rise of take culture is just, and like saying in the overall kind of what we already said. It is what it is. It's the world we live in at this. It's the world of sports journalism we live in at this time.
Colin, I also think it's also like the I need to be louder than you. I think it's
What do
kind
you
of got
mean
some of
by
that
that?
going to
What
it
do you
where it's
mean
like
by that?
if I yell louder, I'm going to be right and you're going to be wrong. And I think we do a good job of kind of going back and forth with each other. And we have had some moments where we like to get rowdy and have some fun with that.
Yeah.
Um, but we try to you try to go back and forth and really take what you can get from each other's opinions. And I think that's kind of gone downhill where it's been more not necessarily personal, but if I yell louder than you and take more screen time, um, people will side with me. When it's just like that's not the case where what it needs to be.
Another question coming in NBA. Samboy asks, who is our dark horses on both sides of the ball when it comes to football? I'll give you mine. I have 2 of them actually. I kind of already mentioned him. Uh, actually no, I haven't mentioned him. I'm actually stuck in between either on defense. I'm stuck between these two guys that are dark horses, Trey Harris and or actually no, it's three guys. Trey Harris, uh, defensive back transfer, probably be our free safety come time. From Cornell, go Big Red. Antavius Fish, transfer linebacker from Akron, and Jameer Diaz or Jameer. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that first name incorrectly, but transfer linebacker from Glenville State. Those are my guys on the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, my dark horses, I'm gonna say Caleb Black. Let's say Caleb Black. I'm gonna say I don't know because this could be a competition come fall camp, but I think they're both pretty decent. Say let's say Peyton McDonald transfer. He might be your starting center. I think he's going to be someone to watch out for. And just to name a third one, because since I named three on the defensive side, I'm gonna say Lonnie Atkinson might be another guy to look out for on a wide receiver side.
Yeah, I was kind of side on the Antavius Fish side, like you said. Linebacker, Mac guy who loved the Mac, of course, but yeah, got to play a lot of games, a lot of good film there, and I think it's someone. It's a position that kind of goes. Yeah, you don't really think about it being flashy like the linebacker. It's a lot of dirty work, and Sam
It
Houston has
is.
had some really good linebacker play the past 6 or 7 years in a row. Um, Mainly Gaither and Trevor Williams. A lot of really good pieces, in that room, and not necessarily like he's going to be a guy that'll go and get you, a sack a game or anything. He's not that type of guy, but um, I think he could be a sneaky grab on the backside. And I'm kind of with you on the. I said Michael Phoenix earlier, but another one, yeah, another one that could be interesting is Caleb Black. Um, Arizona State, not the biggest guy, Texas kid. Um,
Klein Oak High School.
and what you see, he's very shifty, works inside the slot, can't go outside. And I think there was a role for him last year that you kind of look at, and it's kind of like that a Day or maybe even a Noah Smith type role. I think that's kind of what they're going to be looking for. Of course, it's going to be a different offense. I think there'll be parts of it that's similar, but um, I think those are my two guys. I would say here's your wild card, here's your dark horse to just kind of keep an eye on and see maybe a sneaky all conference honor or so.
Now, not necessarily saying dark horses have to be starters per se. I mean, Atkinson could come out of nowhere and start. Who knows? And all that. Diaz may just be backup or whatever. Like the guys I mentioned could not be starting. But the big key this year, guys, is going to be depth on both sides of the football. Big Cat wanted us to do a Mount Rushmore most heartbreaking SHSU losses of the last decade, but I'm gonna save that for another time because that's a pretty damn good question. Because we have to put up, I'm gonna put up a poll when we do it. So I'm gonna save that for our next Monday mailbag. And then finally, will y'all do a breakdown of each position group so we can see where y'all head is at, and will y'all ever do live pods instead of pre-recorded ones from General Sam? I do plan on doing live pods. I really want to do that so that way we can be more interactive with y'all. And I think production wise, it'll be really nice. I don't have to wait hours for these pre-recorded ones to export because my goodness, and upload. My goodness, it takes a while. And we do plan on actually doing position breakdowns in the future. I think what we might do, Luke, is not put them in pods and just instead put them as individual videos. I think that's kind of where what I want to do. So we can focus on that, be more in depth, and actually put film on it just to kind of show people what we're seeing, what we're looking at. But I'm more inclined to do that in the future. But Luke, as the clock strikes about to, at least at 11 p.m. Central Time on July 1st, the first day of July, that will do it for the Sammy Sports Talk podcast. Luke, we all wish everyone a happy 4th of July. And as always, have fun. Have fun. Eat your hot dogs, eat your burgers, barbecue, whatever you might be enjoying for this 4th of July. But
Hold on, Colin.
What? What?
You said hot dog. Is it a hot dog or is it a hamburger?
Oh my! Hot dogs and hamburgers. What's your question? What are you talking about? Are you asking if you think a hot
Are you
dog?
a hot dog guy or a hamburger guy?
I like both. What are you talking about?
You got to pick one.
No,
you got to pick one.
No. You're not. Don't you put me? Don't you put that on me, Ricky?
Team Glizzy, baby. We're Team Glizzy down here. All the way.
I'm not gonna inquire any further.
All right.
Chips and dip. Okay. Whatever kind of chips and dip you want, just whatever y'all do, be sure y'all enjoy safely and responsibly, because we want you. We don't want you behind bars when it comes Bearcat football time. That's for sure. We don't want you doing anything stupid. We don't want you behind bars. All right. So be mindful and be smart. I'm Colin Neal for Luke Scott. Sammy Sports Talk. Pod 54 comes to close. Eat 'em up, cats, and we'll see y'all next time.